So the day has finally arrived. It's aircon install day. And just in the nick of time, because we're very much in summer here in the Philippines. It's hot. Let's take a look to see what's going on. So there are 4 units that we're going to be installing. This is the main one. Here are the 3 units that will be installed in each of the bedrooms. We went with Panasonic with an inverter, so it's really energy efficient. And then the split type, so it'll be quiet. The individual air conditioner units already have breakers for it. But you can see this one is flipped. So let me come outside for a second so I don't echo so much. But there was a problem last night. So when they were installing each of the bedroom air conditioners, one of them worked. I thought this was kind of interesting. Maybe you guys will laugh at this too. There was 2 young guys and 1 older guy. The older guy, I would say, is probably 50-ish. He was the first one done with this air conditioner. He got it wired cleanly, correctly, and it ran no problem. One of the younger guys was behind him as far as timing goes. So what happened is when they turned on this unit to test it with the remote inside, it flipped both the breaker for this particular unit and the main breaker for the house. Well, what does that mean in English? In English, that means that there was a massive surge of power that went through the main breaker and it did its job and it shut it off. And so in English, that means there's some type of wiring issue. Either something's not wired correctly, there's a wire exposed, short, touching something it shouldn't, or it's not grounded correctly. So I had the electrician look at that here this morning. She's going to work with air conditioning installers when they come back and see if they can't get that figured out. Hopefully, it hasn't done damage to this particular air conditioning unit. It is possible with a surge like that it could have damaged the unit. So it's all under warranty, but we'll figure that out today. I'm quite concerned about it because if you put too much power through, that's what could happen. So in the master bedroom here, these are the holes that they've drilled for the register. You can see the large one that they went through the concrete in order to put the main hose mechanism for the register through. And then we have these holes that need to be filled up. They're basically going to put in concrete block and then seal it completely. As you walk into my office, you can see the air conditioning hole that also needs to be repaired. Here's the register. So the register we're just going to center on top of the window. So that's where it'll be placed. And that'll give great airflow for this particular room. These are 1.5 horsepower Panasonics. And then as we go back into the main living room here, there's the register for what's going to go to the kitchen. Here's the main unit that will go outside. One of the issues that we've run into is that we need electric to get to this unit. The register will go right here. It's up here, that tape, it'll be the top of the register. And that way it's below the soffit system that we're building. And then we talked about where this unit should go, whether it should go up high, so it's above the window and out of the way, or below the window, a little bit more accessible. And we've decided that it'd be best to get it up and out of the way so that we can pave the concrete in this area and make a concrete pad around the side of the house and not have this big unit in the way of putting something there like a washing machine or storage or whatever it would be. So we're going to put it above the window. That's the plan because we're going to pave all the way to the back of the house there. Well, let's go around to the front and take a look at the install on the actual units that are going to go into the bedrooms. So the first 2 air conditioners are actually going to be installed on this side of the house. So let's go ahead and take a look. Here's the brackets for each of them.
Yeah. That's what you make it yesterday.
Oh, they made the bracket? For this particular air conditioner? That's what they said?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's why
interesting.
the boss called me yesterday.
Ano to dyan?
You're gonna make the bracket first.
Don't worry, it's wide angle. You look like you're very far away. So they made the bracket first?
Yeah, they made the bracket yesterday so that they can install. They said
May sauce na May sauce talaga.
all the customer who bought the aircon from Abenson, they are the one who installed.
All right, let's move on to the kitchen project. So today they installed the brackets for the soffit, which is where the LED lights will go. And it's going to go all the way around the living room and the kitchen area. So let's take a look. So here's the framework for the soffit system. They'll have the LED lights. And the plan is that the soffit system will come out about 10 centimeters longer than what the kitchen cabinets will be to make sure there's enough room to have enough light. So this is the beginning part of that. They'll then cut these boards into 40 centimeters, which is roughly 2 feet or so. Not exactly, but just ballpark. Into these strips of 40 centimeters, and then they'll put it around the entire ceiling area, and then add LED lights. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a chandelier right smack in the middle of the room, actually, and then one over the kitchen table, and then one over the island that's going to be in the center here. So this cabinet and sink will be removed. And it should take about 3 weeks to get this kitchen totally done. Design's finalized. We're trying to get the appliances to deliver in 2 days on Friday. And so we'll see what happens. One of the issues here is that it just takes a long time to get things done. So the aircon installation was supposed to be done by today, Wednesday, and they didn't show up yesterday. When they finally showed up today, it was about 11:30, and then they decided to have their lunch first before they started any work. Then after their lunch, they told us that there's an electrical issue with a wire getting to the outside to the main 3 horsepower unit for the living room, that they're not electricians. And so now we got to go back and forth with the store, A. Benson's, where we bought it, which is supposed to be the biggest supplier in the Philippines for consumer electronics, like air conditioners, and then try to work through that. So what we're going to need to do is basically add a wire and a breaker from the breaker box inside the house to this location right here, and come up right above this window, and they'll install the bigger aircon unit, the 3 horsepower right here. So the issue is getting power to it. And what the installers are saying, they're saying that they install, but they don't do the electric. There was confusion about that at the store. There was discussion that it could be an issue, but I thought it was resolved that the installers would do it. And now we may have to get an electrician. We'll see. You never know what's next here in the Philippines. So one of the things that you want to do is when you have a new home, before you move in, is go ahead and do the extermination so that you get rid of any ants and bugs either inside the house or preventative on the outside of the house. And today we have our exterminator with us. And what is your name?
Jonathan Mercader.
Jonathan.
Yes.
And Jonathan, you've come up with this is like a water-based chemical, but it doesn't
Yes.
have any smell, right?
Yeah, our chemical we use are friendly chemical, friendly to environment, humans, pets, and animal. It's good to use.
So this one here, what are you doing? You're spraying with that?
Yeah, the portable misting machine, sir.
Portable misting
Yeah,
machine.
for good for mosquitoes like that.
So that's for like
For flying insect.
inside, or
Flying insects.
oh,
Yeah.
fine insects.
Yeah,
So you spray that
yeah, in the air. So
in the air.
for
Oh,
flying insect, yeah.
flying insects. Sorry, so flying insects. Okay, and then you use the pump sprayer here, and the pump sprayer you then spray around
Yeah,
the house,
yeah,
right?
inside and
Ins-
outside.
And when you do the inside, you do the corners.
Yeah, every corner, inside cabinets,
Okay.
aparador, apparatus, inside laboratory.
Laboratory. So the bathrooms, around the corners in the bedrooms. You open the cabinets,
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the name of your company here,
Yes, sir.
Mercator Pest Control Services. So I'll put this in the description also. But I have to tell you because we are in a rental over here, and the landlords I asked for your services, and the landlord sent somebody else, and the chemical smelled so bad, I could not go in for like a whole day. And I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to be breathing that stuff. So I noticed with yours, because we opened it up and I actually smelled this. In fact, I should just do that. It's okay if I open that?
No. Oh yeah.
Or this one?
No more because it's empty.
Oh, that's okay. Let's open it up. I just want to show you this, you guys. So I am super sensitive to smell. I can smell anything and everything. And I'm smelling this chemical, and I barely smell anything. There's just a very, very slight smell right up against my nose. So where the other stuff they used, it was supposed to be FDA approved, blah, 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 water-based, but it stank for like 24 hours. I had to open up every window in the house. So, all right, well, thank you for coming out today. And then, so we'll do this as our first time around, and then how often do I need you to come back this spring?
It's up to you. If the side of your presence insect.
Mm-hmm. So if the insects kind of present themselves, then I call you back.
Maybe the few months, couple of months, the insects coming.
Yeah, every couple
pest
months.
control again, call us.
Okay. All right, sounds good. All right, thank you very much. Thanks for
Thank you
coming
very
out. All right.
Thank you.
So I guess it's every couple months if you need it. I don't know. We just had such a problem with ants in this unit here that I want to make sure I got ahead of it and then did it before we moved in. And it's just such a big difference. I literally, they did this house here. This is the Palacios Grande. It's 4 bedrooms, 2 stories. It's about the same size as the new house, somewhere in the 80s, like 87 square meters, 950 square feet, something like that. And I had to open up every window, and then the balcony up here, the door. I just couldn't get rid of the smell. It took a full 24 hours. And we were just at the house, and they're actually painting. So I didn't think the painters would be out on Sunday, but they came, which is awesome. And they're not the fastest, but they do great work. Anyway, I told the guy, I said, look, it's up to you. If you're not comfortable, we'll just spray the outside today and have them come back. But I said, let's smell this thing. And so we opened it up and really couldn't smell the chemical. And the guy said, no, I'm good with it. And so I said, you sure? He said, yeah. So they're still painting after he sprayed, which just would not have been possible with the other chemical they did in this house. So anyway, just want to mention this as part of your home preparation here in the Philippines. Before you move in, just go through and spray it. There's a lot of bugs over here. You should see the size of the centipedes. When we're walking in the morning and we go, this one street's kind of like jungle, these things can be like 6 to 9 inches long, hundreds of legs. It's like this thick, like huge. There's all kinds of bugs over here. Don't usually see that in the house. What I see in the house, there's 3 different types of ants. A very small ant, but that's the one that kind of stings you or bites you or something. Then there's a medium-sized ant. They're the ones around the most. And then they got huge ants. Those are usually stay outside. That one, the big ants, I've stepped on them a couple of times. One guy stepped on 3 times. He still walked away. I said, you know what? You deserve to live. I let him go. Anyway, they do have ants here, and you want to get ahead of that, especially as it gets hot. It seems like they come in looking for water or sugar, right? Those are the 2 things they want. All right, I'm back over at the house. The exterminator just left, and you can find him on Facebook. So I'll post that in the description, but you saw the picture there. I'll show it here of his company name, and just look for him on Facebook and message him on Messenger. If you're in the Bohol area, he can come out and service you. It was 2,000 pesos for the first time to do inside and out, and I think the follow-up is 1,000 pesos. What I wanted to do is to walk through. They're painting here, even though it's Sunday. These guys are trying to get the work done. I thought we walked through the house after the guys just left from the exterminator. He literally 5 minutes ago walked out of the house. So let's go in. I want to see if there's any smell whatsoever. So as I walk into the house, and I know they sprayed outside the house and inside the house, I don't smell anything. It's such a different experience than before at the rental, where it really stunk for 24 hours. And I left it up to this guy whether he wanted to paint or not right after they sprayed. He said, okay. Here's the one thing that you can see why they use this 3-inch roller. They put it directly into the paint can. This makes me crazy. If he had a regular 9, 10-inch roller and had a tray and he poured the paint in it, he'd be done twice as fast. The other thing you'll notice, he doesn't put down a drop cloth. So, and it was really hard to find a drop cloth. I actually had to go to City Hardware here to find it. All the other hardware stores did not have plastic drop cloths. This is one thing that got fixed. They re-epoxied this valve onto this rain barrel. So this is a rain barrel catch. And you basically use this water to water your plants and things like that if you were to have a water problem. We've never had the water go out here, and since I've been in Royal Palms Cuatro. They put in a water tower for the complex, and since they did that, there's been no problem. Before that, they had a couple of days where they did not have water from Richley. But this basically goes up to the drain up here. And it's just this one side of the house. So from this side of the house, it captures the rain coming down. Really just this corner, because the other ones have drains that go down to the main drain, which will go out to the street. And there's a, what do they call it? They call it a lagoon, but it's really a retention pond behind this house here across the street. You see that small concrete wall? Behind that is a deep lagoon they dug. So when it rains, all the water goes there, goes into the soil, and disappears. So you can see the rain capture type system. Really, it's just this one half of the roof on this side of the house. And you can see they've pretty much repainted the outside now. Looks good. We're getting there. But this valve was a problem. It was loose. So they had to re-epoxy it. It actually was leaking. And then what I did was, this house has been sitting here for 3 years, so the rains have been collecting for 3 years. They had painted this cap shut, and so I had them unstick it. You can see a little bit of green on the top of that. Doesn't surprise me. This is what it looks like inside. I don't know if that'll come out, but anyway, I drained it entirely because I thought it probably hasn't been, opened up in 3 years. So I just drained it all out. So at least we're starting fresh. I'll probably put some bleach or something in. I got to research what's the right thing to stick in it. But again, it's a backup water system for plants outside mostly. But if you had to wash the dishes or your hands, you just can't drink it. Okay, so we'll put this cap back. See if I can do this left-handed. Funny, you seem so uncoordinated with your opposite hand. I think I got it. And then I showed you in last week's video that we put in this drain pipe here to reroute this system. And I had them paint it. It was orange before, if you remember. And now they've painted it and they've matched to the colors. And then I had them fix the concrete that they started to tap into, which I did not want affected. So, looks good. Plastic paints pretty well, actually. Who would have known? Went from the orange pipe that looked like this over here. Okay, I saved the extra piece. So it went from that color, and now it's all painted out. Here's what the register looks like. And I just gotta connect it to the power here. They drilled a hole going outside. Same here in the master. One outside. And there's the register. It's all got remotes for each one. Good thing is it's pretty hot. I'm asking myself if this one's too hot. This guy is chiseling out the final hole for the main pipe that will run from the register outside to the actual compressor unit. And we were actually told by both these installers and then also the framers above them that the concrete's a little bit soft compared to the previous Royal Palm subdivisions. This is Quattro. The previous ones were Uno, Dos, and Tres, and they apparently were a little bit harder on the concrete. So that's kind of interesting. Here's the final framework that's in the kitchen area that we're going to use for the soffit system, so you can kind of see what the final aluminum framing was. Everything was cut to size there, and then we'll have that above the air conditioning. It was important we had a special space there at the top of air conditioner by 20 centimeters. Here is the final hookup here outside of the 2 bedroom air conditioners, and this is where that one wire got crossed or was touching another wire, and that's what created this short that shut down the system the other night. But just to give you a closer look at these wires and how they do it, as you can see they were all separate. That actually is a copper pipe that goes into a black insulating foam pipe that goes around it. They then take the wire and then they wrap it all up by hand into this white, looks like almost like a type of tape you'd use for plumbing, something similar to something like that. And then they get it nice and tight, wrap it, and then glue the final piece of it. But that gives you an idea what that looks like. There he is taking the glue to seal it off and getting these air conditioners installed, and it took 2 full days in order for the installers to complete 4 air conditioners from start to finish. So these guys got creative and decided to use their trike as their platform to work on the 3 horsepower. It was super heavy, so they struggled, the 2 of them, to get it up there and get it connected. So they're finishing that up now, but I thought that was kind of funny. So it turns out that the wiring on the first aircon going into the master bedroom and the outside harness, there was something wrong in that wiring setup. They went back and corrected it, and now the aircon works. So all three other units are working at this point. They've done a great job figuring that out, and it doesn't appear that there's any damage to the unit. This is kind of an interesting last step. They're actually creating a vacuum and pulling any type of air out of the lines to make sure it's just pure Freon running through it. Okay, let me show you what the final outcome was with the air conditioners installed. You can see exactly how we ended up and what it looks like. Let's take a look around the house. Here we go. So we're going to start here on the side of the house. These are for the bedroom and the office, the master bedroom and the office. Here are the final air conditioners, what they look like. And as you can see, I had the painter come and then paint out the orange and blue PVC pipes so it all matches to the house. So again, that's a recommendation, use PVC, it paints very easily. Here's the second one. They did a nice job wrapping all of that up with those pipes and everything. And we still have to get these holes permanently sealed that they place in the structure when they build it. And again, that was this unit that was wired wrong, that flipped the main breaker and the breaker at the same time with a massive surge. I ran the air conditioning for some time on this one and it seems to be okay. It's under warranty, so I'll keep an eye on it. But that's what that looks like. Let's go around the back part of the house. We'll then get the air conditioner here for the guest room. I like how this guy did his work. This was the more senior installer here. And the way he did it, it's very tight with the two pipes coming down together, which looks much better, I think. So that's all been painted out. Matching the house. Looks much better. And then the final, which was the last one they did the install on, was the main kitchen living room one. They just painted it today. So we'll take a look at that. So here's the big air conditioner, the big 3 horsepower. And my plan worked. It does absolutely cool most of the house, if not all of the house. So and it's got different settings as far as like how much airflow, how much noise it makes. The unit itself is very, very quiet, so that's not even an issue. The airflow inside depends how high you have the flow. But as you can see, they did a nice job finishing off everything. And then the painter came in this morning and then matched the house. So runs really quiet. I guess I should show you that. Let me go inside the house real quick and I'll show you what that looks like. Or I guess rather what that sounds like. We've still got to fix the upside down deadbolt here. But other than that, the locks work, just wasn't installed correctly. I had a boss that once said, check once, check twice, then do it yourself. Probably should have just done that. I just didn't have the drill. So, you know, I've been a renter up to this point. Okay. So let me turn this on. Let's get the light on here. So we installed the remote here on the wall. So each room has its own remote. That's one thing I didn't know when I bought the unit, is that it doesn't have a temperature number on this airflow unit. And the other models, TCL and Samsung, they have the number. And that's something we look at our current rental all the time. So I'm turning it on right now. And so it's now kicking on the airflow. So I'll let the mic pick that up. I also adjusted the swing so that it's more down, heading towards, lower the floor area to cover more for the rest of the living room. And I can definitely feel the airflow as I back up here. I am probably halfway across the room, and right now I feel the airflow kind of down around my shins and feet. So this is what it sounds like running. Like I said, you can't even hear the unit outside. All you're hearing is the rate of flow. And if I'm not happy with that, I can go back to here and it'll have a quiet mode. So I can initiate that. And that will settle it down even more. There it goes. And now the airflow reduces a bit and doesn't make as much noise. And there's the quiet mode. Pretty quiet. Yeah, so I'm happy with the progress that we made this week, and we'll continue on as we get our final things done. There's still a lot to happen, but we're making good progress, and the kitchen will continue to be completed here. I would say probably in the next 2.5 weeks, it'll probably be completely done. So I'm pretty excited about that. Next week I will give you an update on what the final framing and drywall was to create the soffit in the living room and kitchen. And then I think they'll put in the LED light strips all the way around that. So that'll be super cool. So you'll see that next week. You'll see the install for the 2 instant water heaters and how they had to run the electric up through the attic. I'll actually show you what the attic looks like. So we have that coming up. A lot of different things will happen. And then all the appliances will be delivered this coming week. So I'll show you that too. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Thanks for watching, you guys. I hope you found it interesting, and we'll see you next week. Take care.